Hello everybody! Welcome to the Medyo Serious Talk Show with Red Oliero. Andito si Lolito Boyet Takardon. Siya po ay representative ng POPCOM. Hindi po yan agency ng mga artista. Commission on Population. At ang pag-uusapan natin ngayon, overpopulated ba ang Pilipinas? Bakit ba tayo gawa ng bata? At ang mga solusyon na pwede natin gawin para ma-solve ito. Yun. Kung hindi nyo alam kung ano yung POPCOM, tunog artist studio siya eh. Parang akala mo management siya ng mga artista. Pero commission ba?
Commission on Population and
So,
Development.
Anong jurisdiction ng ano na yan?
Bale, sa government agency, Commission on Population and Development na nangangasiwa doon sa issue on population with the context ng socio-economic development. Parang sinisiguro niya na ang ating populasyon ay sumusuporta doon sa mga socio-economic.
Kayo ba yung nagko-consensus?
That's PSA.
Okay.
No. Kami naman yung gumagamit din ng data, tapos gumagawa ng mga pulisiya, paano mas mamamanage o mababalanse yung ating populasyon with our resources and mga socio-economic condition natin.
Hindi ko lang alam kung masyadong dated na yung pinag-uusapan natin kasi naalala ko nung college ako, mainit na usapan to eh. Because nagtatry tayong magpasa ng reproductive health bill which also involves education on contraception, which would help kind of curb the rising population, di ba? But also, being a Catholic country, makikita natin to na isa siya sa mga parang nagiging points of debate. No? Kasi, ang paniniwala natin is to propagate. Pero at the same time, contraception teaches otherwise. So, it's a threat to our Catholic ideologies. No? So, sorry kung medyo intense kagad yung unang tanong, no? Pero do you deal with that kind of, how do you say this, parang issues?
Yeah. Actually, yun nga yung mga issue na kinakaharap natin. Kasi ang ating population in the Philippines, masyadong dynamic at masyadong evolving, no? In the 1970s, talagang ang usapin noon ay overpopulation, ano? Talagang mataas yung mga bilang ng pinapanganak. Nasa on the average no ng total fertility rate natin o yung bilang ng mga maaaring ipanganak na mga nasa childbearing years, 6.
Wow!
No 1970s, 6 yan. So kaya naman nung ginawa yung polisiya natin on the population, ang naging focus niya is family planning.
Yes.
At noon pa nga ang gamit nila is population control eh. No, para kontrolin o reduce
medyo
yung population,
yung terminology.
Medyo coercive, no? Coercive 'yon. Kaya naman ang sentro ng programa, family planning at ang kanyang pinopromote na pamamaraan ay paggamit ng contraceptives. So kaya family planning methods. Kaya nagkaroon ng divide, lalo na't nabangga nga niya yung mga dogmatic ng mga kalalo na yung sa Roman Catholic because inaano nila na ba't mo kinokontrol yung panganganak at bakit may encourage na wag manganak, no? Kasi
because it's something that we celebrate, di ba?
Yeah, it's a blessing actually na pinoconsider yung bata. And then through the years, yung ating demographic landscape nagbabago. In noong 1970s, after 2 decades napunta sa 4, and then eventually etong 2022, base dun sa National Demographic and Health Survey, nasa 1.9 children na lang yung total fertility rate natin.
Wow. Okay.
So bumaba siya ng bumaba.
Is that too drastic or are we still good?
We consider it as more manageable. Okay. No, actually, ang polisiya natin, because nga dun sa usapin ng population control, binago na yung perspective kasi ayaw natin maging coercive. So dapat may pasok siya doon sa konsepto ng human rights, which is informed choice. No? Dapat voluntary. Matulungan yung mag-asawa kung ano yung gusto nila at silang magde-decide din kung sino yung ilan, kailan sila gustong magkaanak. At ang gobyerno, ang role lamang niya is ibigay sa kanya yung pwede niyang magamit para ma-achieve yung kanyang fertility intention na yon. Yung nga lang, in 2022, nakita natin na medyo parang may pandemic effect. Dahil from 2.7 noong 2017, bumaba siya ng 1.9 in 5 years.
Wow, okay.
So
halos doble,
drastic yung period na yon because imagine mo noong 1970s to 1993, dalawa yung ibinaba. Tapos noong 1993 to 2013, mga isa na lang. But in 2017 to 2022, in just a span of 5 years, parehas sila nung 2 dekada na one child yung
Would you think because there's a very glaring thing that happened between those years. It was the pandemic that
Yes.
took 2 years out of everyone's
Oo.
life. So, do you think that's kind of
Ang
a factor din?
based doon sa aming pag-aaral, actually na-accelerate niya. But in fact, ang ano na natin is nagde-decline na naman talaga na siya. Even
Okay.
without the pandemic, bumababa na rin yung trend. Yung nga lang masyadong napabilis.
Oh.
Dahil during the pandemic, isa sa mga factor na nakita natin is unang-una yung yung bawal ang magpakasal.
Yeah.
So, nabawasan talaga magpakasal.
Marami naghiwalay.
Isa rin yun. No? So,
Naghiwalay.
and one factor kasi ng fertility, syempre yung pagsasama, di ba?
Tama.
Family formation. So, and in the Philippines, ang entry point pa rin ng family formation is kasal.
Tama.
No? So, nabawasan yun. Actually, 50% ang
May stats talaga.
Yes,
Wow, okay.
nakita natin sa mga registered marriages.
Okay.
And then, bumaba rin yung fertility as a result. No? Yung bilang ng mga live births during the pandemic period. Nagtaka nga kami dahil ang iniisip namin noon, during pandemic, lalo na itong time sa COVID-19, dahil walang serbisyo sa health center, hindi ka pa pwede makakuha ng mga services, walang mga information. Tapos, the fact na may quarantine nun, mahaba yung pagsasama ng mag-asawa sa bahay. Sabi namin, naku, baka ito na yung second phase ng baby boom.
Yun ang akala natin.
Yun ang akala namin. No? Kasi, kaya nga kami naging alarmist nun eh. Kaya kami nagtawag, sana lahat ng local government units wag kalimutan ng family planning services dahil may potential na magka-baby boom ulit. Pero to our surprise, bumaba. And we found out na based dun sa interview with the mga couples, ay voluntary yung kanilang hindi pag-aanak because of the economic reasons.
Yeah. Tsaka naging parang it was very evident nung time nung pandemic, I think, even the people that are usually apolitical or hindi sila masyadong sa current events, naramdaman nila eh. Naramdaman nila lahat. As nakikita nila kung saan nanggagaling yung problema, mga ganong klase. Naging socially aware. Parang yung awareness ng tao nun mas mataas, I guess, than I guess ngayon, tsaka before, di ba? So, I guess, marami nagkaroon din ng memento mori. So, noong time na yun, parang naisip nila yung mortality nila, baka inisip nila na, sige, mas mukhang gusto ko i-pursue yung buhay ko kaysa magpamilya, ewan ko. Maraming life-changing things.
Totoo yan. May evidence yan, kasi during the FGDs namin, yung pagtatanong namin, during the pandemic, nagkaroon ng mga bagong interest.
Talaga?
Doon nakita ng mga na parang,
plantita, di ba?
Mga iba-ibang interest, halos lahat pwedeng ibenta sa online. Tapos yung mga din, nakita nila yung realization na parang yung additional cost of having one child, parang hindi nila ma-achieve yun at baka mas mahirapan sila mag-cope with the pandemic kung they have another unplanned pregnancy. And yung mga bata, talagang nagbago, nag-shift din yung kanilang preference for sa kanilang fertility preference na tinatawag.
Very tawag doon, it's iniisip mo sa utak mo minsan parang haka-haka lang yung or baka mga theory lang 'tong mga naiisip mo, pero when you say na wow, nag-focus group discussion kami on these things, and totoo siya, there's this data to back it up, no? Medyo ko lang, i-scale back ko lang a little bit, no? Kasi kaya rin na-bring up to sa medyo serious talk show is we're also finding kind of like iba-ibang klaseng issues that we wanna shed light on. And this has been an issue ang tagal na.
Yeah.
And it affects everything because overpopulation means basically more mouths to feed. So we basically need more supplies of everything. Diba? So right now, you're saying our fertility rate is at 1.9?
1.9. Total fertility rate.
So barely even two children, no?
2 children.
So ang tawag doon, ang progress ba natin going forward is we want to curb it more or are we okay with this rate? Will you sustain it?
From our perspective, kasi through the years since the development ng ating programa, ang gusto kasi ng programa is matulungan ang mga mag-asawa na may bigay yung kailangan ng adequately ng kanilang mga members. And one of the way na pwedeng gawin yan na mag-asawa is magplano talaga.
Tama.
Planuhin. So, actually, ang family planning program is not all about the contraceptive. It's more of the capacity ng couples na mabigyan ng magandang buhay.
Even spacing out, di ba?
Yes, that's right. And syempre, pero malaking bagay yung bilang. Dahil katulad na nasabi mo kanina, it dictates dun sa kanilang magkano ang kailangang investment, sa education, sa health. So kung mas marami ang anak, syempre mas maraming resources na kailangan mo. At kung mas konti, syempre, yun, Pero tinatanong din kasi sa National Demographic and Health Survey kung ilan ang gusto nilang maging anak. So yung tinatawag na wanted fertility.
Okay.
Base sa mga kababayan, gusto nila 2 lang.
Okay.
Pero
so in line. I mean, the current fertility rate and the want is kind of like
yes, yun parehas. Yung gusto ko sanang puntuhin. We find it as a success because the government was able to help couples to achieve their desired fertility. Kumbaga, you wanted fertility. Kasi yun ang kagustuhan nila. So, hindi namin pinilit. Kumbaga, parang gusto nilang 2 at na-achieve na nila in actual fertility. So, nanaro na yung gap. Pero, isa sa mga issues na nakikita natin is yung sa mga mahihirap at saka mga makababaihan with lower level of education, mataas pa din. So, that means nakikita natin yung capacity to achieve yung desired fertility has something to do with their socioeconomic condition din.
Gets.
So, ibig sabihin nun, this is a cliche, di ba? Kung sino pa yung maraming anak, siya pa yung, kung sino pa mahirap, siya pa yung mas maraming anak. And that's a function of access kasi. So kung meron kang mas maanong resources and more manageable lang yung number of anak mo, syempre mas may capacity ka to have savings, to have investment rather than spend. Imagine mo, kumpara mo yung parehas kayo ng kinikita, na minimum wage. Yung isang pamilya 5 versus sa isang pamilya 2 lang. Di syempre mas may kakayahan na itong 2 lang, So that's really a function of socioeconomic
that is tawag dun, that has been actually the problem ng matagal na. It's the people na kasi we can say like average fertility rate, yung want and everything. We can say that. Pero if we isolate these groups sa socio-economic levels nila and everything, those ones that are lower, they tend to have more children. So, yun yung gusto ko rin itanong sa mga tao. Bakit ba mahilig tayo gumawa ng bata talaga?
Kasi it's natural sa tao Kasi kaya nga tayo may reproductive system dahil
tama.
One of our function talaga is magkaroon ng anak, mag-reproduce. And siyempre we are sexual person din, di ba? We have sexual urge and all of that. And it results to children. Yun yung expression of our sexuality. Yung nga lang, sometimes hindi na-factor in yung socioeconomic condition mo and the preparedness for you to have children. Lalo na marami tinatawag ng mga unplanned pregnancy. Actually, isa dyan yung issue ng adolescent pregnancy. Hindi sila handang naging magulang, hindi sila handang nagkaroon ng anak because of some reasons. So, yun yung dahilan kung bakit may mga pamilya na gustuhin man nila ng 2 lang, 3, hindi sila mas marami.
Most of them?
Yes, most of them. And they're not practicing family planning, in short.
When we say family planning, we're not just dealing with contraception here, di ba? We're also talking about like natural ways to plan it, I guess. Parang ganun. Natural ways na magkaroon ng contraception. Binibring up ko yung natural contraception kasi kumikidlat na. Ewan ko narinig ng mga tao. Pag baka sabihin ko pag sinabi ko mag-condom tayo lahat, baka mamaya lumakas yung bagyo habang nangyayari. Pero ewan ko narinig ng mga tao. Do you think na more education on not just contraception, reproductive health would help this?
Yeah, malaking bagay na yung access to information and actual na mga methods ay isa sa mga factors talaga ng fertility. But isa sa mga latest na studies na nakita namin when we tried to analyze ano ba yung factor kung bakit bumababa yung fertility. The most direct reason is yung fertility preference.
Okay.
No? But etong fertility preference, ibig sabihin yung preference mo whether magkaroon ka ng anak o hindi, bumababa na yung preference nila for children.
I see.
And basically because of the improving socioeconomic condition of women. So, nakikita natin na mas nagiging edukado,
Gets.
mas maraming nagkakapagtrabaho ng mga kababaihan.
Uh-huh.
So, nare-redirect into other goals,
Naging
siguro,
busy
life
sila.
goals. Oo. So, yung kanilang invest na ang kanilang pinagkakabalahan ay magkaroon ng anak.
Mag-child rearing, di ba?
In fact, even yung decision to get married, medyo naapektuhan na rin.
Yeah.
Mas nade-delay na ang marriage ngayon dahil with all of these life goals and life interests.
And that's very correlated to family making, di ba?
Yes, very, very correlated. Dahil nga, syempre, yung mga kabataan ngayon, sa totoo lang, talagang mas marami silang interest, no? Not really career, but to travel,
iba-iba.
To other, mga other
bumukas
interests.
na kasi ang mundo eh. Something happened with the millennial generation eh, na we grew up nang nang bigla nagkaroon ng internet, and we were the first ones to discover all of these. Parang, pwede pala, ganito pala dito, ganito pala dyan. Di ba? Parang ganun. So, I guess, maraming people in my generation na sigurong nag-kick up yung instinct nila as explorers and wanderers, na deprioritized ang
family formation.
Ang family making, family starting. No?
Yes,
pero siyempre meron pa rin naman. Do you think if this continues, this would become like, siguro maybe in the next 10 years, may forecast ba kayo na parang, baka
actually,
0.5 na lang, parang gano'n?
Ang pinaka, naman nito, direct result nito, kasi right now, as a result of declining fertility, unang-una, bumababa yung mga young dependents natin, 0 to 14. Ang nagiging resulta naman, lumalaki yung working age population natin, 15 to 64. It's an opportunity supposedly for the country because if you have more working age population, di syempre mas maraming nagtatrabaho, mas maraming nagko-contribute sa ekonomiya. But isang glaring impact din is the steadily increasing proportion of older person. So yung aging population naman, actually based dun sa latest na projection ng PSA, by around 2030 magsisimula na ang aging process, or I mean nasa aging population, mako-consider that we're already at the aging population because yung
kulang ang bata,
proportion 65 and above, magiging na yan, nasa more than 7% na. At yung senior citizen natin nasa 11% na. Base kasi sa international standard, matatawag na ang population ay nasa aging na kung yung kanilang 65 and over ay nasa 7% at saka yung senior citizen nila nasa 10% na. So by around 2030, nandun na tayo as per projection ng PSA.
That's really near. That's like in 6 years. No?
Yes.
Sobrang bilis nun. Meron din economic impact yan. Kasi right now, economists are saying like a country like China, because of their one-child policy, they're getting really old as a country. Their labor force will not be as much in the next 10, 20 years. Compared to our economy na I think marami pa tayo in the next few generations, pero after that,
medyo magana na.
Magiging problema, no? I guess. Well, ito na lang siguro, maybe scale it back din a little bit. Para din lang malaman ng mga tao. If you, since you're the representative ng Popcom here, would you say yes or no, overpopulated tayo?
No.
Talaga?
Yeah.
Okay. Is it because we have a lot of land space that are...
In general kasi, nakikita na with the socioeconomic condition natin na medyo maganda, population is still at a manageable level. And the fact that we are actually declining na rin yung total fertility rate na as we discussed kanina. Ang ang problema actually is the more pronounced issue in relation to population is its distribution, spatial distribution.
So masyado tayong concentrated.
Masyadong concentrated siya sa mga highly urbanized cities. At kasi nga nandun yung opportunities. Did you know, na in the total population natin, if you look at the distribution of our population by region, 40% of Filipinos are living in Central Luzon, in NCR, at saka in Calabar Zone. And we have 17
so
regions.
Manila and Manila adjacent region.
So kumbaga yung mega,
Mega
Manila, yung nandoon yung almost half
wow.
or 40% of our population.
And if you're talking land mass wise, it's not even close to probably 20% of the Philippines. Wala pa siguro.
Yeah, kaya nga yung in general, yung population density mo okay pa. Kasi nga maraming mga actually isang nagiging problem din natin is yung marami na rin barangays ang nagde-decline ang kanilang population because of this phenomenon of internal migration. Napapunta sila sa mga urban, highly urbanized areas. So, ang is one of the emerging population issues natin actually is yung influx of migrants in highly urbanized regions.
I see. So, they're leaving their provinces or mga rural areas. They don't occupy them anymore and then lumilipat sila sa
ang main
Manila
problem
or
niyan,
metro
right,
cities.
is on the human resource. Kasi yung mga naiiwanan, yung tinatawag nating areas of origin or sending areas, nababawasan yung kanilang human resource. Pero at the same time, dito naman sa mga receiving or sa highly urbanized areas, nagkakaroon ng surplus kaya some of them nagfe-fail sa kanilang objective ng migration. They end up in squatters and slums and nagiging sila sa urban poverty. Stuck sila doon. Hindi na sila makabalik din sa sa probinsya because wala ring opportunities.
Wala opportunities,
So yun yung isang natin issue na kinakaharap natin.
Yun ang malaking undertaking, no? Kasi I feel like there's been efforts to kind of like decentralize it around Manila. There are developments na in Pampanga and Cebu and Davao. Marami ng mga parang central hubs here and there. Pero it remains a glaring problem, and I believe, and we've tackled a lot of issues here sa show na to. We've had economy, traffic, mga ganyang klase. I feel like if we kind of like pag niluwagan ng kahit Metro Manila lang, I think malaking bagay.
Yung actually with the concentration of population in highly urbanized areas, nagkakaroon din ng unequal distribution when it comes to economic development. Kasi masyadong parang ang hirap solusyonan dahil usually ang mga investors, they will go to areas na may human resource at saka may market. Siyempre hindi sila po mag-i-invest dun sa mga rural areas. But you'd like to develop the rural side. So, how would you balance that? Yun yung medyo ang hirap gawan ng policy kasi even yung mga placement ng mga educational centers, mga colleges, universities, usually nagko-congest dun sa urban na areas Tapos, siyempre, ang pinakaunang naapektuhan is yung agricultural sector natin dahil nawawalan na tayo ng mga labor on the agricultural sector.
Tama.
So, wala nang sino pang magpapakain sa
At the same time,
areas.
din yung parang problema ng agriculture is like, ito yung mga bagay na dapat pinaprioritize kasi doon galing yung pagkain natin. Tapos hindi sila pa yung, I think, na getting the short end of the stick or whatever. Sa lahat ng mga kilala kong fellow Lasalista at Atenista dyan na nagmamigrate sa La Union, sa LU, nakakatulong ba yun?
Siguro ba?
Di ba maraming kasi ako nag-show ako sa La Union. Pagdating ko doon, sabi ko, akala ko mga locals yung crowd ko. Sabi ko, parang show lang ako sa Makati, kayo rin to diba? So yan, yung mga ganyan, nagmamigrate sa Siargao, living the surfer life. Mga ganyan, nakakatulong
malaking
ba yan?
Tulong yun ng dispersal ng or decongestion ng talaga highly urbanized cities. Ang babantayan mo lang is syempre they should have learned na with the lessons from the urban.
Tama.
Na dapat pag nakita na nilang nag-urbanize na yung area, dapat na plano na nila ng maigi.
Yun lang.
Kasi
I don't think they planned that. I think they just want to catch the waves.
At saka ang nila ngayon, intention nila is to get more tourists, di ba? Papunta dun sa kanila. Pero dapat meron na rin silang plano dyan on how to use the land.
Tama. Sayang
saan ang residential, saan ang commercial. Dapat naplanuhan na nila before they
kasi it's gonna be the same thing.
Yes.
Tama ba?
Dapat they should be learning from the experience ng mga highly urbanized cities na.
Kasi minsan para pupunta ka sa La Union thinking na parang, okay, babakasyon ako, probinsya, rates to, bila mamaya, minom ka ng kape na 200 pesos. So parang, palis ba ako? Parang nangyari.
Tourist na kasi rin yung makaramihan doon.
Totoo, na-gentrify na. Yun naman yung Is that like a tawag doon? Good thing or bad thing?
Well, it's a good thing doon sa economy ng
Gets.
receiving area.
Okay.
And once na nakakatulong din in terms of investment. So kung halimbawa na-entice ka doon, maganda yung lugar, viable ang investment, syempre kahit papaano,
ma-attract.
Oo, hindi ka nababalik na nakikipag-compete sa urban
private
areas.
sector ma-attract to kind of like develop it and everything, di ba? Parang, pero outside of tourism, what else can we do to kind of like make people go somewhere else? Alam mo yun, di ba?
Yeah, actually, malaki ang infrastructure sector din na dapat tignan natin. Kasi yung infrastructure development natin talagang concentrated siya sa urban areas eh. Not really understandable because mas maraming tao, di syempre mas maraming nangangailangan ng mobility. Pero kung maayos din siya down to the rural areas, I think yung exchange ng mga trade, exchange ng mga delivery, ng mga services, mas mapapacilitate. At hindi mo na kailangan tumira sa Metro Manila, halimbawa, para mag-transact ng business. Maganda naman yung road, so you can just do it within the day. At hindi ka na magmamigrate dito, papunta rito. So, in a way, infrastructure development is one. But syempre din, ang madali kasing sabihin, pero mahirap talaga gawin, lalo na yung investment. Even in the share of the way we provide resources sa mga local government, population kasi is one of the factor.
Okay. So ang resources mo is based on consensus mo dito, parang ganun?
I mean, 50% of your share from the national tax allotment ay base sa population.
Wow.
So, kung mas marami kang population, mas marami kang pondo. So, yun yung isang...
Pero, hindi ba kailangan ng mas developmental resources ang mga places na underdeveloped kaysa...
Yun sana...
Dito, ito na nga yung maraming pera,
diba? Yun sanang baguhin na pananaw. Kasi parang, lalo na, halimbawa, highly urbanized cities, mas malaki yung kanilang share dahil sobrang dami ng kanilang population. Tapos yung mga nasa rural, maliit lang yung pondo nila dahil konti lang din yung population.
And then they remain small because yung ano pa nila is based on their size. Paano ka ma-develop ngayon? Diba?
Tapos yung sa cities, meron pa silang aside from national tax allotment, may revenues pa sila ng sarili. So sila lang yung
hindi ka naman masisante pag sinasabi mo to. No? Baka naman sabihin mo lang sa amin. Blink twice, ha?
Ano naman yun? I think it's a perennial concern and a challenge to the government talaga on how to, to look at the mga issues na natin. And we've been proposing din na tignan siguro yung mga factors na to para makita. Actually, isa ring area na tinitingnan nga namin that facilitates yung population movement is the wage rates yung difference in the wage rates. Actually, dahil syempre malaki dun sa urban, isang pull factor yan. Na-entice yung mga tao na pupunta dahil mababa lang yun dun sa kanilang lugar.
Taas din naman ang cost of living dito.
Yes, mataas din ang cost of living. Pero malaki rin yung pera nila. So, pero new net talagang maano din. So, those are economic areas na propose din naman natin na sana tignan more holistically ng gobyerno.
Yeah. So, like developments like urbanizing or creating like Bonifacio Global City in Clark, mga ganong klase, or Clark Global City, makakatulong yan because it will decentralize the...
Sana, no? Pero ang pinopropose namin actually is yung pagplano sana ng economic development, lalo na sa mga regional development, mas inclusive. Hindi lang per province, hindi per city. Tinitingnan din yung exchange of population kasi nakikinabang yung mga yung highly urbanized cities, pero at the expense naman ng mga rural areas. So sana meron ding some sort of compensation. Kasi for example, at the global scale, Philippines marami sa atin ang nag-abroad, di ba? Oo. So tayo ang nag-aano sa mga education nila, sa health nila, pino-form natin yung human capital natin. Pero the time na sila ay nakagraduate na, kinukuha naman dun sa ibang bansa. So, yung investment mo for the human development ay iba yung nakikinabang. So,
yung mga experts natin,
ibang nakikinabang. The same manner, ganun din yung sitwasyon na gusto natin sana makita in the internal development na merong
scale,
na sana matulungan din ng rural kung sino yung nakikinabang sa population ng highly urbanized cities. May konting din sa rural development.
Do you also keep track of those who migrate from here to outside? Because I've been hearing, or parang just like in my own circle lang, there's a lot of people na would retire early and then migrate to a province or neighboring region. And meron ding mga tao na, okay, pag magsimula ako ng business, I'm gonna do it somewhere else na city. Does that help?
Yeah, ano lang namin is wala kaming data on that.
Wala.
Pero
Okay.
we've heard mga cities na meron kasing tinitignan na nila yung mga yung ano ba 'yun, yung advantage nila as a region and how to entice people to go in their locality. May mga cities like Talisay halimbawa na pinapackage na yung kanilang city as a retirement city. Ganun tipo. So parang
okay. Maganda rin ang angulo.
Oo, kumbaga parang pag mag-invest ka rito, dito ka tumira, ito yung mga benefits na makukuha mo. Parang ganun kanya-kanyang
style
discarded din. No? And I think that helps para mas ma-distribute and ma-decongest yung And I think nagiging viable na rin actually yung retirement in the countryside. Na
malaking
as
bagay
compared
nga. So
dito
kung working class stays na lang dito, kung saan kumbaga parang business area ng Philippines, I guess. And then we go somewhere else for retirees. Pero I think ang pinakamalaking mangyayari is if we meaning the Philippines, hindi ako. we create a lot of, kumbaga yun nga, wag i-concentrate lahat ng commerce and business dito lang sa isang area na napakaliit, di ba? I-spread natin. Meron ba kayong plano in motion or pinopropose to do that?
Well, as of now, ang mga presentations lang namin sa mga regional development, hindi pa at large scale. No,
Okay.
kasi it's really the function na ng NEDA yan. Kumbaga placement na ng economic development. But one suggestion na inaano namin to mitigate yung further impact of uneven spatial distribution of population is to put some policies that can influence population movement. And one of that is rural development talaga.
Okay.
So, but rural development, hindi mo kasi yan pwedeng i-pursue na parang walang viable platform. Ang more viable na rural development is umpisahan mo doon sa mga karatig na mga munisipyo, mga rural areas na malalapit sa mga urbanized areas. And that's what we call urban sprawl. Kumbaga,
ginagapang mo pala yun.
Ginagapang mo mula dito sa kumbaga ito yung concentration ng urban mo. Dito ka muna magsimula.
Okay.
Kasi yung pattern ngayon ng population movement sa country natin is mas prefer na nila ang short distance. Dati kasi yung migration stream natin, long distance Galing Bicol, galing Mindanao, punta ng Manila. Pero ngayon, galing Bulacan, punta Maynila, Manila, punta ng So short distance na yung niya. In fact, within the region na lang yung iba Like sa Davao, by province na lang yon. In Cebu, by province na lang yung population movement. No? Hindi na super layo. So viable yung urban sprawl na strategy. Dahil hindi na rin mag-focus na alimbawa magi-spread lang, magdi-disperse lang. Yung congestion na hindi na kalayuan.
And this is gonna be siguro para ma-decongest ang Manila and kunwari if all goes well. Ito na lang, kunwari ikaw and your team biglang binigyan ng unlimited resources to do this. And you're gonna do the urban sprawling for X number of years. How long do you think before
medyo
matagal?
matagal-tagal.
Even idea lahat ng situation, matagal siya, di ba?
Isang magandang bantayan or talagang i-observe is yung magiging impact kapag natapos yung airport dyan sa Bulacan.
Tama. Yeah.
So, kasi nga, that's one way of decongesting Metro Manila kasi ngayon, nasa within Metro Manila yung mga yung portal natin, from yung global portal natin. Pag inano mo doon sa sa Bulacan, mas malapit sa other urbanizing areas, yun ang magandang tignan how the neighboring localities naman would adapt doon sa economic impact.
Tama.
Nung development na yon.
Pag ginawa ba yung Bulacan Airport, i-shutdown na rito yung Manila? Or parang
nandiyan pa rin, pero
malaking bagay.
I'm sure, mas marami na economic activities doon.
Yes.
Balita ko, mag-shut up tumataas na yung mga value ng lupa doon.
Talaga ba? Mag-invest na tayo. Tapusin namin yung episode, mag-invest lang kami. I think meron na ring influx din of people who are, getting their education here. And instead of thinking of migrating to other countries, they think of migrating to other provinces na lang. Kumbaga parang lumiliit na yung, nila. I know a lot of people na parang they invest a lot of businesses in provinces rather than here. And at the same time, I think dahil nga hindi lang Metro Manila yung hub ngayon, marami ng iba-ibang hub. And if they do all of their sprawling at on their own, di ba? In X number of years, I think mas magiging combined with also yung fertility rate natin parang mas positive yung outlook natin on our population development than before, than like 10 years ago, probably.
Yeah. Yan yung sinasabi natin, na actually nga, nabanggit ko kanina, na isang effect nung declining young dependence ay yung paglaki naman ng working age population mo. Imagine mo, mas marami kang human resource ngayon na pwede magtrabaho.
Na hopefully nagstay dito.
But the problem is, isa rin yun, yung job opportunities rin and yung capacity of the government to employ all this working age population na yan. At ma-employ man sila, hindi rin naman kagandahan ng kita. So mataas yung underemployment din natin.
Tama.
So hindi masasabi natin na hindi na pa natin na-optimize yung opportunity na yan so that we can reap sana yung tinatawag na demographic dividend.
Tama.
So kailangan talagang magtulong-tulong din ng gobyerno. Tingnan kasi yung usapin ng populasyon hindi lamang family planning .
Tama,
Kailangan mo yung
marami.
Education, kailangan mo yung employment, health, lahat ng sector halos natatamaan ng usapin ng populasyon . Agriculture, for example.
Lahat talaga. As in, actually, lahat. Pwede mo sabihin lahat . Talaga. Kasi kung mas konti yung tao, mas konti yung kailangan nating resources, di ba? Yun lang naman talaga yun .
Kaya yun ang trabaho naman namin, na ipakita sa kanila yung mga implication nito sa bawat sector.
It's a very hard thing.
At saka yung
nakita ko bigla yung stress sa mata mo.
Yung pag-convince sa kanila na ito, tignan nyo to. Kasi meron ding mga conflicting interest din ng bawat sector, di ba?
Yes, of course.
Like, syempre, ang trade, gusto nila mag-disperse, ng industrialization. Pero ang agricultural sector naman ang naapektuhan dahil sa conversion.
Walang united front against it. Kasi lahat ng klase ng iba-ibang klaseng aspeto or way of thinking. If you're an agriculture person, if you are spiritual, yung spiritual aspect, yung socio-economic aspect, iba-iba lahat ng theory niyan, di ba?
Mga iba-ibang perspective .
So, mahirap to kind of like rally the banners and prioritize it, I guess.
Ang aming bottom line kasi namin is people-centered development. So, ibig sabihin nun, bawat sector, kanya-kanya kayo ng objective. Pero siguraduhin nyo na yung ginagawa would redound to the well-being and development of people. Kasi yun yung business namin, it's population. You just ensure na bawat tao ay nakikinabang sa kaunlaran. Parang ganun yung aming advocacy .
It's a very, still very
very, very broad. Kaya nga, for example, family planning. Paano mo masisiguro, paano siya nakakatulong na at least meron kang higher level of access to the development. It's by enabling you to have greater investment, savings para sa education of your children. Para eventually sila mas maunlad or mas may kakayahan.
Marami,
so yung outcome namin talagang matagal i-measure.
Oo. Kasi mahirap nga.
Hindi pag nag-family planning ka alam mo na resulta develop ka na agad. Parang
yun din pala, mahirap maging agile with the data because you're getting like results from a generation.
Yes, generation to
worth
generation.
Of data before mo maisip ko yung actual statistics.
Totoo
That's a very hard thing to do. But thank you so much for what you do parehas din sa Popcom. We could talk about this for a long time actually, pero Medyo Serious Talk Show is only 45 minutes. But catch a new episode every Tuesday here at One News, at kung wala kang TV, meron naman sa YouTube. So just search the Medyo Serious Talk Show. Thank you so much, Boyet. I appreciate it. Sa lahat ng mga tao doon, so hindi tayo overpopulated, masyado lang concentrated ang ating So kung ikaw ay nanonood at genius ka, tulungan mo yung rural areas to be developed, 'di ba? Yun ang I think pinakamagandang one way to kind of like do it, I guess. And let's learn to from the urbanized Metro Manila, let's learn from it when we urbanize other areas. Yun yung I think primary take on it.
Pattern.
Yun. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the opportunity.